I want to start by saying that this isn't the first bad experience I've had dog sitting, but it's definitely the worst. I started dog sitting when I was around 13 years old and made good money doing it. Currently, I'm 19, and this incident occurred when I was 18. I had set up an easy way for people to contact me about dog sitting by posting on Facebook and Instagram frequently. I would often receive messages from people asking me to dog sit. One day, I received a notification from Instagram stating that someone was trying to message me. I accepted the message, and it was from a person stating that he and his wife were looking for a dog sitter while they went away for a week to Florida. They needed someone from the 4th to the 11th of that month and were offering to pay $300 for the week. They mentioned that I could stay at their house or go back to my own home. I started conversing with this man, whom we'll call Mr. Brown for privacy. After some discussion, I agreed to take the gig and told him I would stay at his house for the week. Upon arriving at his house, I was introduced to his 2 dogs, Mina and Letty. Mina was a little Yorkie, and Letty was a blue hound. Mr. Brown showed me around his house, which was situated on 76 acres. Living in a farm town myself and residing on 32 acres, staying here didn't unsettle me. The closest neighbors were quite far away, and one would need to drive there to have a conversation with them. Mr. Brown and his wife briefed me on the rules regarding the dog's care and feeding schedule. Mrs. Brown also mentioned their nearest neighbor. She described her as a nice person, but sometimes confused due to medication. Mrs. Brown recounted incidents where their neighbor would mistakenly pull into their driveway instead of hers, and occasionally confuse Mrs. Brown for her deceased daughter. Hearing this story evoked sympathy in me, as I understood the pain of losing a loved one, having experienced my parents' grief after the loss of my brother in a car accident. However, Mrs. Brown assured me that their neighbor wouldn't cause any harm and instructed me to kindly redirect her home if she showed up, assuring me that she would leave without any trouble. After Mr. and Mrs. Brown left, I settled in to watch movies and spend time chilling with the dogs. The first 2 days went smoothly without any issues. However, on the 3rd day, the old woman, whom I'll refer to as Miss Rose, unexpectedly pulled into the driveway. As she stepped out of her car, she looked up and saw me, then promptly returned to her car and drove away. I assumed she realized she had the wrong house upon seeing me, and didn't think much of it at the time. Later that night, I received a call from Mrs. Brown, checking to see if I was all right. I reassured her that everything was fine, and she proceeded to inform me that Miss Rose had called her, claiming there was a robber at their house. I explained the situation, and Mrs. Brown laughed it off, attributing it to Miss Rose's confusion about their absence. I ended the call, planning to visit Miss Rose the following day to clarify any misunderstandings about me being mistaken for a robber. That night, however, things took a terrifying turn. Around 2 a.m., I was jolted awake by a faint scratching sound, almost like ticking, coming from outside the window. Initially, I dismissed it as possibly a bird or some other creature and tried to ignore it. But as the noise persisted, preventing me from falling back asleep, I decided to investigate. When I lifted the blinds, I let out a scream upon seeing Miss Rose attempting to pry open the window with a pair of pliers. Spotting me through the window, she began banging on it with the pliers, causing the dogs to go into a frenzy. In a panic, I instructed the dogs to follow me as I grabbed my phone and fled to the bathroom, the only room without windows. I dialed 911 and provided the address, hoping for a swift response. Despite the rural location, the operator assured me that help would arrive in about 10 minutes. I managed to quiet the dogs and hid them in the closet attached to the bathroom to prevent Miss Rose from hearing them. As I stayed on the line with the operator, trying to remain calm, the pounding on the window continued. Suddenly, I heard the sound of glass shattering, and I cursed under my breath, fighting back tears of fear. I whispered to the operator, relaying the unfolding events from my hiding spot in the bathtub. After several minutes of tense silence, I heard footsteps approaching the bathroom door, and I tensed up, fearing the worst. Miss Rose knelt down, peering under the door, and I inadvertently let out a gasp. Reacting quickly, she pounded on the door with the pliers, intensifying my terror. Tears streamed down my face as I pleaded with the operator, desperate for the police to arrive after what felt like an eternity, but was likely only 3 minutes. I pleaded with Miss Rose to leave, but she insisted I shouldn't be there. My relief surged when I heard the sound of police cars approaching, followed by attempts to kick down the door. I stayed on the line with the operator until the intruder was apprehended, and the police managed to enter the house. Once they reached the room, they ordered Miss Rose to drop her weapon. And surprisingly, she complied, claiming she had done nothing wrong. The officers handcuffed her, and I was given the go-ahead to unlock the door. Following the ordeal, I provided the police with my statement and then sought refuge at my parents' house, too frightened to be alone. The next day, I contacted Miss Brown and explained the situation. Despite my decision not to return to the house, I received full payment. A few days later, Miss Brown informed me that Miss Rose had been under the influence of hard drugs. She had told the police that she had decided to take care of the robber herself and believed she had done nothing wrong. Miss Rose was subsequently charged with breaking and entering, which struck me as ironic. After this harrowing experience, I decided to quit dog sitting. I've since become much more paranoid and vigilant, always ensuring that my doors and windows are securely locked. This incident reminded me of something similar that happened to my sister about 15 years ago when she was in high school and I was in middle school. Our mother worked as a house cleaner and had formed friendships with the homeowners whose houses she cleaned. One of these homes belonged to an older couple with no children, but a spacious house with a luxurious pool. The husband, a CEO of a large airline company, and his wife lived in a well-to-do neighborhood on a large lot surrounded by trees, providing a sense of seclusion. Their house was architecturally intriguing, with multiple levels and floor-to-ceiling windows, offering picturesque views of the forest during the day. However, at night, the reflections from inside lights obscured the view, creating an eerie atmosphere. Despite the somewhat unsettling decor, including old Native American art and masks, my sister and I never felt threatened because the couple was always hospitable. They had a gentle golden retriever named Samson and a recently rescued Husky mix named Sadi, affectionately nicknamed Psycho Sadi due to her erratic behavior. While Samson was docile, Sadi exhibited a more unpredictable temperament. Psycho Sadi's intense separation and stranger anxiety often led to destructive behavior when left alone. She would wreak havoc inside the house, leap over the short fence if left outside, and even damage their car if taken along for errands. incessantly howling until their return. Given the homeowner's wealth, they would pay my sister or me $20 per hour to dog sit whenever they went out. We eagerly accepted these opportunities, enjoying the perks of watching cable TV and swimming in their luxurious pool. While most visits were uneventful, there were occasional instances when Psycho Sadi would exhibit her unpredictable behavior towards me as a stranger. Once, she cornered me, barking incessantly, with eyes seemingly turning red, evoking a fear of imminent attack. Thankfully, she eventually calmed down after I asserted my presence from atop a couch. This particular incident occurred over Easter weekend, while the homeowners were away for 2 days. They had hired my sister to stay at their house, and I decided to join her for the first night due to the house's size and eerie atmosphere. We spent the evening watching movies and indulging in snacks. The next day, we enjoyed swimming in the pool and relaxing. However, I opted not to spend the night again, a decision for which I am immensely grateful, considering what unfolded that night, forever haunting my sister. It all began when my sister was working out on their treadmill located in the basement, adjacent to the sliding glass door leading to the patio and pool area. She had the TV on, playing the 10 Commandments, a tradition on the night before Easter. Mid-run, she heard the house alarm beep, signaling the opening of a door. Investigating, she discovered the sliding glass door wide open, a scenario impossible to attribute to anything natural. Despite her alarm, the dogs remained lethargic, not reacting as expected if an intruder had entered. Given Psycho Sadi's intense dislike of strangers, my sister rationalized that their lack of reaction suggested no immediate threat. As my sister recounted her experience, it became evident that something sinister had transpired. The unnerving combination of the open door and the dog's unusual behavior hinted at a potential intrusion. Investigate. As we stepped into the backyard, we were met with an eerie silence. The beam of our flashlight swept across the yard, revealing nothing out of the ordinary. We shrugged it off as perhaps a passing animal or a trick of the light and returned inside, dismissing any lingering unease. The following night, however, things took a sinister turn. I was alone in the house, the nurse's dog safely secured in its kennel for the night. I had just settled in to watch TV when I heard a faint tapping sound coming from one of the windows. I paused, listening intently, but the sound ceased as quickly as it had begun. Chalking it up to my imagination, I resumed watching TV, trying to shake off the unease that had settled over me. But the tapping returned, louder this time, accompanied by the unmistakable creak of a floorboard outside the window. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized that someone was outside, trying to gain entry into the house. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed 911. As I waited for the police to arrive, I barricaded myself in the bedroom, praying for their swift arrival. Minutes dragged by like hours, each creak and thud outside the window sending shivers down my spine. Finally, the sound of approaching sirens broke the silence, flooding me with relief. When the police arrived, they conducted a thorough search of the premises, but found no sign of the intruder. However, they discovered evidence of attempted forced entry, confirming my suspicions. Shaken but unharmed, I thanked the officers for their assistance, grateful to be alive. In the aftermath of the terrifying ordeal, I vowed never to dog sit alone again, and urged my friends and family to prioritize their safety when accepting similar responsibilities. The incident served as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in the shadows, even in the most seemingly secure environments. The accounts of the attempted break-in incidents experienced by my sister and me serve as powerful reminders of the vulnerability we face in our everyday lives, particularly when alone or in unfamiliar environments. These harrowing experiences underscore the importance of remaining vigilant and taking proactive measures to safeguard ourselves and our loved ones. In both instances, the potential for danger lurked unexpectedly, highlighting the unpredictability of life despite living in seemingly safe neighborhoods and homes equipped with security systems. We were confronted with terrifying situations that shook us to our core. The trauma inflicted by these events lingered long after the immediate danger had passed, manifesting in nightmares and heightened anxiety. The aftermath of these incidents prompted us to reassess our approach to personal safety and security. We recognized the need for additional precautions, such as installing security cameras and reinforcing door locks to fortify our homes against potential intruders. Moreover, we became more attuned to our surroundings, trusting our instincts and remaining vigilant to any signs of danger. These experiences served as sobering reminders of the fragility of life and the importance of prioritizing our safety and well-being. By sharing our stories, we hope to raise awareness about the realities of crime and the importance of taking proactive steps to protect ourselves and our communities. Together, we can work towards creating safer environments where everyone can feel secure and protected. Check the perimeter while the others search the house. My heart raced as I stood outside, clutching the lamp tightly, fearing for our safety. Minutes felt like hours as we waited anxiously for any updates from the officers. Finally, one of them emerged from the house, signaling for us to approach. He informed us that they had thoroughly searched the premises, but found no signs of forced entry or any intruders. I was incredulous, unable to comprehend how someone could enter our home undetected and then vanish without a trace. The officers assured us that they would patrol the area throughout the night and advised us to remain vigilant. They also suggested contacting a locksmith to reinforce our door locks and consider installing additional security measures, such as motion-activated lights or an alarm system. As we watched the police cars drive away into the night, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. The sense of violation was palpable, knowing that someone had trespassed into our home and invaded our sense of security. In the days that followed, we took the necessary steps to enhance our home security, implementing the recommendations provided by the police. We also sought support from friends and family, leaning on each other for comfort and reassurance during this unsettling time. Although the intruder was never apprehended, the experience served as a wake-up call, reminding us of the importance of remaining vigilant and taking proactive measures to protect ourselves and our home. It also underscored the invaluable role of law enforcement in ensuring the safety and security of our community. The realization that you had encountered the potential intruder on the day of the invasion adds another layer of complexity to the already chilling experience. It's understandable that this revelation would leave you feeling shaken and apprehensive about dog sitting again in the future. The encounter with the young man asking about the car for sale highlights the importance of trusting our instincts and remaining vigilant, even in seemingly innocuous interactions. While you couldn't have known at the time the significance of the encounter, hindsight offers a sobering reminder of the potential dangers lurking in our everyday lives. Watching a movie about home invasion, particularly in the wake of your own unsettling experience, must have stirred up a whirlwind of emotions and memories. It's natural for such events to resurface during moments of reflection, or when confronted with similar themes in media. Your apprehension about dog sitting again is completely understandable, given the traumatic nature of the intrusion. It's crucial to prioritize your safety and well-being above all else. If you do decide to dog sit in the future, consider implementing additional security measures and trusting your instincts if anything feels off or suspicious. Ultimately, your experience serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of remaining vigilant and taking proactive steps to protect yourself and your loved ones. It's okay to take the time you need to process and heal from such a traumatic event, and to make decisions that prioritize your safety and peace of mind.